What's going on, and welcome back to my channel, Joe Zaccardelli. Today we have something a little bit different for you. We have two watches that we're trying to make into one. Now, these two watches are not mine. Apparently, my friend has started to dabble in the dark arts of horology. I'm here to kind of bail him out. They are both Fortis's 28, 24, 25 jewel ETA movements. One of the movements is complete, the other one, not so much. Basically half's there. And what we're trying to do is make two watches into one working watch. While we're at it, what we need to do is switch dials and switch hands. He thought he had fixed the complete watch with the new mainspring. However, it's still running sluggishly. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to do as little as possible to get this going for him. We can figure out what's wrong with it together. The black dial one is going to be a Fortis Flieger. Before we get into it, please take a minute to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It would really help. For whatever reason, if you don't feel this video is worth a share, a like, or a subscribe, please, in the comments below, tell me why. Maybe I can fix it. Maybe I can't. But you never know. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Right here, you see the two watches. Well, 1.5. The one on the left is the black dial Fortis. Most of these parts in here look like they will be usable. Once again, these two movements are the ETA 28-24, which is a very nice movement, 25 jewel. The one on the right is the complete movement with the problem that it's running sluggishly. He did say we can use any parts that we want off of this watch to make the other watch work. So we're gonna first off get this watch apart. Clearly he's been working on it because it's pretty easy to get this back off. Now we're gonna remove this stem, and we do this by popping in this spring, which releases the stem, and we can get that movement out. Dial looks nice. We're going to want to go ahead and get the hands off. Many ways to do this. I like to use this Bergeron dial protector, and then I have my the hand removers. Now that that's done, we're going to want to go ahead and get the movement ring off of there. Sometimes they're held down with screws, sometimes they're not. This one is not. Now, to get this dial off, most ETAs are pretty straightforward. They have these two little fish hooks on the side. You pull them out, and the feet just pop right out of the front. And if it doesn't just pop right out with your fingers, you just need to put a little bit of pressure on it with the tweezers. And it comes out like that. That little ring right there, that ring is called the dial frame, and what that does is give you enough space so the date wheel can advance without it sandwiching it and making it not move. Now just kind of looking at this movement, it doesn't look horrible. I've seen worse movements, I can tell you that much. Once again, the background story on this watch is he replaced the mainspring because the balance wheel was running slow, a little sluggishly. Right now, we're going to remove this screw for the oscillating weight. Get that out of the way. While I'm doing this, I'm just trying to look for anything that looks suspicious or out of place. It looks very clean. There's really no play in the balance staff. Go ahead and take the screws that hold down the automatic mechanism. And if you've ever worked on the ETA 2824, it's a really nice movement. A lot of variations. And he is right. This balance wheel does like to... just doesn't look like it has enough amplitude. And just so you know, I have not released the mainspring yet. I kind of want to see what's going on, if it's going to keep running. But right now, sometimes if you put down the automatic works on it too hard, it'll put pressure on it, but that's not the case here. I'm going to play with the pallet fork. If you do this technique to try to get the gears to the train to advance, be careful. That pallet fork is extremely delicate. And I think I just found a piece of lint. And the funny thing is, like, a little piece of hair, a little piece of lint can stop the watch in its tracks. And I'm just giving it a little air, hopefully get anything out of there. I'm going to keep advancing this just to see if anything else is in there. And the good thing is, it is advancing. Let's go ahead and put the balance assembly back in there. See if it will get it going. I mean, this would be an amazing feat if it was just a piece of hair or piece of string that prevented this from working. He's gonna watch this video and be like, oh man, all I had to do is check that. Look at that, starting to go a little better. Now, I told you I did not release it all the way, but I didn't wind it either. This is looking a little better. The nice thing, it is advancing on its own, showing some decent motion, as you can see here. Making sure nothing else is on here. None of the lint was on the top plate there. Get that in there. Get the 2 screws in. Gosh, that's all it was. This is gonna be easy peasy, and we can get out of here with a win. Get those in. Make sure that everything has lined up. It looks like it has. We're going to go ahead and get the oscillating weight on. And after we get this on, what I'm going to do is plan to wind it. Well, maybe. Okay, well, it looks like my tweezers are magnetized. Perfect. Now they're unmagnetized. This is interesting. The balance wheel stopped working. I don't know if it wasn't just a strong enough spring in there, if it's not wound enough. The screws feel right. They're not loose. They're not over tight. Just flick it. Now it's running. It may just need more power. Fingers crossed, it just needs more power. I'm going to wind it a little bit. See if that will help it. Give it some self-winding. I don't like the amplitude. The amplitude here, it just doesn't look like it's giving us a full rotation. If you can see here on camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the crown and the stem back in. I'm gonna really wind it, and hopefully that will give us enough power that the balance wheel will rotate enough that it actually is giving the right amplitude for this watch. If you've been doing this for a while, you know a weak mainspring or watch it's not getting enough power. This watch is not getting enough power. Once again, it could be a variety of different things. We're gonna cross off the list that it's not a mainspring. The hairspring looks good. Did I over tighten these screws? I'm gonna loosen them up just a little bit, retighten them just barely. Hopefully that gets it going. I try not to over tighten things, but sometimes I can turn it just a little too hard. No, this is still running very sluggishly. You can see here, it's just not giving us a 180 full rotation. That wheel should be going all the way around. It is going a quarter of the way around. That's going to lead to poor timekeeping. It's going to be too fast because it's going to keep hitting that pallet fork and speed it up. So we only have one choice. We got to tear it back apart. We got to get down, see what's going on. Tried to do it fast and cheap. Oh, I thought this was going to be a win. Well, here's something to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take all the power out of the mainspring, because I'm going to go ahead and take apart the train bridge, and I don't want that power that's in that mainspring to break or ruin any of that train wheels. Now, what I was about to say before I release the power is, when you're going to retake something apart, if you're upset, if you're stressed, step away. It's not worth the headache and the stress of breaking something on top of something that's already broken. I don't see anything. Oh, that's a lie. Right there on our center wheel, do you see it? It is a piece of loom. I can only imagine that piece of loom came from the minute hand that was missing a little piece that almost looks like it's the perfect size. Oh my goodness. I think we found the culprit. It was right there in that gear. That would jam it up. Now, what am I going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off the mainspring gear. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take this train out. I'm going to clean around it, and I'm going to throw those, I guess. Yeah, maybe just, well, okay. Well, don't do that. If this is a how-to, video, I'd say don't do that. I'm gonna go ahead, throw those in the ultrasonic cleaner, get those cleaned up, and then I'm just gonna clean around the rest of this movement. It looks good, but just make sure it's 100% clean. That way we're not gonna have any doubt. He said he ran everything through and cleaned it. It looks clean. However, when you're fixing broken parts, when you find pieces that are sheared off, or like this loom was, it has to be somewhere in the watch. It just doesn't magically disappear unless the crystal was broke and the bezel was off. Then yeah, there's a chance that it might not be in there. But when you have this nice watch and it's complete and it's in the case, chances are whatever pivot broke off, whatever tooth chipped off, whatever piece of debris that came off of something, it's gonna still be in the watch. You got to find it. And luckily I think we found it through the lint and through the loom. I think that's everything that we're gonna really have to do. So let's go ahead and use some Rotoco. Put that third wheel in. These can be tricky. The pivots are so small and it is so top heavy. Be careful. Be very careful. Now, if you've been working on some vintage wristwatch movements and whatnot, and you want to step up to a better grade movement, the 2824 is a fantastic movement to work on. It's well made, assembled really nicely, and even putting in the escapement wheel can be tricky. The escapement wheel pretty much in every movement is a little tricky. You definitely want to be careful and not snap off that bottom pivot while you're trying to maneuver it into place. Now, back with the 2824, it's around $200, give or take, for a brand new movement. So as we put in the sweep second wheel, understand that you can get parts 20, 30, 40 bucks for this and make just a nice watch come to life again. But these are a very solid movement. I'm just gonna, after I clean these parts, I do like to hit them up with Rotoco just to make sure we get any debris or dust off of them. Now, you want to position these, work them in. I usually like to start with the sweep second wheel, and get that into place. And then usually from there, it will catch the center wheel and the third wheel, and it's just downhill from there. Everything just kind of falls into place. Now, you're going to put the screw in, and you want to be careful. You don't want to tighten this down right away, because when you put on the other screw, it could bring that bridge up and totally change the position of how it's sitting on the pivots. And when you tighten down that second one, snap. I say it from experience. Unfortunately, it has happened quite a bit. But with keeping pressure applied evenly while you put that second screw in, usually you can avoid that. And it looks like we got it into place where it should be. All pivots, 100%. Nothing better than that. Now let's just get that mainspring gear back in place so we can wind it up and see if we have a success or not. Let's grab the mainspring screw. Get that set. Gosh, I really hope this is what the ailment was. I just can't see anything else other than that really stopped it. Take it out of the movement holder. Get it nice and wound. Usually you only need 6 or 7 complete rotations to really get it going. I'm gonna go to town. I want to see the balance wheel just take off. That would make me very happy. So far I've been at it longer than I wanted to. This is what happens. Buddy comes over, you're working on some watches. Hey, what do you think about this? Yeah, let me take it. It's a nice movement. Haven't made a video about this yet. It should be no big deal. Think again. Think again, friends. Right, let's get this balance in there. Try not to bend anything or break anything. And that looks good. Oh, that looks really good. If you can, oh, that is pumping. That is pumping. Wow. That looks exceptional. I am very, very happy. Now, let's put some oil in it. Get it lubricated. Less friction. Get the screw in the balance cock. Be careful with this. You just want to slowly go down with it, because if it did shift for whatever reason, you could snap off the balance pivots and be in another world of hurt. But that looks like it has enough power in it now. Okay. We were close to where our last problem was. After we screwed down the oscillating weight, make sure those gears are freely turning so they can wind properly when the oscillating weight is on. Here's a moment of truth. Let's get that oscillating weight screw in. Not magnetized anymore. Hallelujah. Get this tightened down. And just so you know, I did hide it on you. I'm hiding it on myself too. The suspense is killing me. Let's see if it's working still or not and what the amplitude is. It looks good. There it is. There it is. You can do some before and afters. That looks 100% better. And here are the old hands that gave us a lovely gift of loom. What we're going to do is we're not going to use the white dial. We're not going to use those hands. What we're going to use is the dial and the hands that are off of this movement. That is also a 2824 ETA Fortis. So we're going to steal the hands and the dial and put it on this watch, and we're going to put it in the bigger case, which is this case. However, we're just basically switching the movement on here, if that makes sense. And now we're going to want to be careful with these hands, because lo and behold, we break loom off of here. Now there is a couple pieces of discoloration, but not as bad as the other ones. And actually, my friend is pretty good at relooming hands, so I believe he is going to go ahead and do that at some point. But he doesn't really want to do it if this watch isn't running and keeping time. And here it is, the little fish hooks. You push back on the smaller, there's a little clamp, little hook at the end that you can just grab and pull out and remove them. Pretty simple. I'll go ahead and clean the back of this dial. Get it nice and clean. Make sure nothing's there. All right, looking good to me. Let's get this movement that's just rocking and rolling right now. Get it lined up. And I think I forgot something. Yep, I forgot something. Can you guess what it is? And here's the absolute joy of working on anything. When you have leftover parts, and then you got to take it all back apart and put it together. So what did I forget to put on this Fortis? Did you guess dial frame? Well, ding, 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 ding. You are correct. Thank goodness we didn't put the hands on. Let's get that dial frame in there so it doesn't wedge or sandwich that date wheel. And we can move along. Now, some people put it on the dial itself and then upside down and then put it in. I don't know. I don't do that. I just line it up because it only goes on one way. And just gently put it in. And there you go. Now we have the right amount of space. Let's get those fish hooks, pop them in to hold down those dial feet, and we can proceed. Gosh, this dial looks nice. Now, when I put my hands on, I like to get it so it just turned the date, and that way we can get it to the right spot. Now, I'm going to tell you first and foremost, when you're dealing with older hands that have loom on it, be very careful. Do not, you see me moving that tip around. I'm moving that tip around because I know that it's not friction fitted yet, and you can bend it and break it all apart and totally ruin a hand. So definitely be very, very careful when you're putting on these hands. And I don't think I talked about one of the features on this watch, which is very cool. It has a hack feature. So if you notice, I pulled out that crown and that stem so it stopped the seconds from going. So right now I know it's at the 12 o'clock spot, and I can set it at 12:00:00. If we get the second hand on, nope. See, the dexterity of the tweezers can be fun, especially if the tips are just a little bit bent. There's one thing to always perfect is working on the tweezers. And once again, if you push that all the way down, do not pry on it. It will bend it. Now it is in place. Now I just want to make sure that I do a full 24 hours just to make sure that I got it when it flips over on the 12. I know my buddy's going to probably take these off here in a couple weeks after he knows it's going well and he wants to reloom those hands, but for argument's sake, let's just make sure it flips. There we go. A little delay, but overall, when you're doing a job for free 99, I don't think he's going to really mind that much. And if he does, then heck, maybe he'll have to owe me 2 hugs instead of 1. I don't know how that works. Okay, let's go ahead and get this assembled. And hopefully the whole time it's going to be ticking along. Put it in the movement holder. Get that crown and stem. And get that in place. Got to make sure it's parallel when you put it in. Got to kind of twist and turn, push at the same time. Make sure it catches. Yes, it's still running. Oh, I'm happy. Let's get that beautiful bag on this watch. And with my pocket watch cases and my wristwatch cases, I like to go in reverse, like unscrew it so it gets into place. You can kind of feel it drop and then advance it. That way you don't cross thread the cases. And I'm just going to hand tighten this for now. My vise is off camera. Okay. Now, the fun part. Put the bracelet on. Easier said than done sometimes. Those things can shoot across the room at like the speed of sound. Usually you have to find them with that sonic boom. All right. Looks good. I don't think I scratched any of those lugs. Good golly, Miss Molly. I am very happy. That watch looks exceptional. I'm happy. and I hope he's happy. Let's go ahead and just set the time on this. I know this crown isn't right, but it'll do. What do you guys feel on Fortis's? I think they are an underrated watch. This one definitely has a clean, classic feel. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. Let me know what you think. Can't argue with that. It does look nice. Oh my gosh. That took way more time than I expected, and payment for it is probably going to be a hug. Now, hindsight, if I would have just did my detective work and look at what the main culprit was, the main culprit was the loom that got knocked out of the minute hand. The clues are right there. If something breaks, it never leaves the watch. Always look for that. I was at a disadvantage because I known that this watch had been opened up before me, so figured that already came out. I did believe that the lint was going to help make it run for whatever reason. That's why I put it together and it ran sluggishly. Sometimes these projects can be kind of fun, not knowing what you're going to get to and trying to backwards engineer it and solve it. Kind of keeps you on your toes. However, I do think it turned out very well. The black dial and the bigger case, personally, I like it, but I do have a little bit bigger wrist, so I would have gone the same way as my friend went. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you have switched that around, or would you kept it how it was? As always, be on the lookout for mechanical art. The hunt is real. Until next time, see you later. However, hindsight's always 50-50. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Hello? Hello?
Doesn't sound right.
For more videos, go to my YouTube channel, Joe Zaccardelli.